Hello, fellow ZENworks admins, partners, and colleagues. How are you guys doing today? Um, it is March 16th. Happy to be here. We got a lot of information to go over today, a lot of new things coming down the pike for the ZENworks product line. Feel free to download today's presentation there in the link in chat, and by clicking on that, you'll just grab it straight from Filer. I just wanted to welcome you. Thank you for joining us. If there's anybody new out there, please shout out and give me a shout out in chat. That'll be great to know that you're there. Um, Today we're covering ZENworks Inventory Reporting and AdminStudio 2019. So you're going to say last week was MFDC and Admin 2019. Yes, it was, but we didn't really get to anything on AdminStudio 2019. Jason did a great demonstration on MFDC, and we kind of cut it off short, and so today I'm going to add a little bit of AdminStudio just to give you a little glimpse of that, see how that kind of works. So I didn't want to skip over that. So we're kind of making up. All right. Um, we meet every first and third Tuesday of each month at 9 o'clock Mountain Time, North America. So we're real glad that you're here. And you can subscribe to us on the support and training channel, the Microfocus support and training channel. Little couple of housekeeping tips. You can log into chat to join chat conversation. You can direct message each other by putting an @ sign in front of the name. You can then you'll see exclamation commands. By putting those in, even yourself in the command line, you'll be able to retrieve things. Also, there's the subscribe button down below. If you enjoy this channel, subscribe to it so you get notifications and so forth. And then, of course, the link to this presentation is there. So in this presentation, there's a lot of different links to documentation, to a bunch of different areas, and we'll go through some of that. But so I want you to have that. So again, I put that in chat. Feel free to download it. And the recordings are also viewable on the Microfocus Training YouTube channel. So if you were to go out to the YouTube channel, let me pull it over here. Oh, it went real wide. This is the Microfocus Support and Training channel. And you have the Microfocus different products. Here's Silk, Enterprise Server, Collaboration Group, which is GroupWise, Vibe. We have the Endpoint Management, which is ZENworks, Service Desk, Desktop Containers, and then the ZENcast playlist as well. So there's a lot of great product information out here, and some of it in training format so that you can learn more about the product. Feel free to go on out there and do that. Again, double check your settings for autoplay turned off and your quality for the YouTube channel at 720p 60. You'll get the best out of that. Apologize for a little bit of the darkness on the side here in the hotel room last week for the hotel room. So I'm excited that we're going to be back in a better studio next time. Okay, so today we're covering ZCM Inventory and Reporting and AdminStudio, and next time we're doing ZENworks Imaging and WinPE, and hope to have some guests on for that. All right, there's a schedule there so you can see what's coming up. These may be subject to change depending on what is released. Like we got a lot of releases coming down the pike with Service Desk, with ZRS, with ZCM, and we may dovetail those in to get presentation on what's new and that type of thing from PMs. Okay. On the Microfocus portal, I hope it's getting better for you. Double check, even if you don't have to create a case, go out there to the new portal. Make sure you can get to your SR and your cases. We don't want to leave you stranded. Make sure you can get to your licensing. You have to activate some your product to get the licensing, and it'll automatically email you. So do some a little bit of investigation out there on your own portal so that you can make sure that you're not stuck when you need us and we're not able to you're not able to open an SR or something. And they're called cases now. Uh, Also, when you are interacting with the support rep, there'll be a subject line that has brackets and a reference number. Don't take that out of the subject line. That routes it to the correct um, case. So as you're moving through, as the dialogue happens, it's all recorded in the case. You can also contact us at support@microfocus.com. Logging into the portal, there's a set of there's links here on getting to your portal, getting to your software license download login. Okay, that's where you can get your software patches and licenses. And then the MicroFocus portal navigation. There's a video series out there as well as a TID. They're kind of linked together. And then how to access ZCM patches on a new support portal is out there. Craig Wilson, one of my colleagues, was out there and put that together. So being able to activate, you can actually see how to get patches and activate and so forth. Okay, there's some drop downs in here that you can see he has arrows to, but a great explanation on some of that because we've had some questions on that. Okay, other things, temporary licenses may be provided in case there's an issue. We did have the old portal open for a limited time. I don't know if it's still open. Let's see if it's still open. Just in case, so you don't get stuck in the middle of the process and you need a license and you can't move on with your upgrade. But it looks like it's still available to log into. Make sure that when you do log in, you don't create SRs from there. They won't go anywhere. Okay. And again, orders placed after December 19th, those orders won't show up in the portal. Okay. And then there's some reporting discrepancies. Feel free to email those particular locations, depending if you're in EMEA, America, or Asia Pacific, so that we can get to you right away and try to resolve your issue. Let's get on to the suites. ZENworks Suite. We're currently at 2020 Update 1, and you can look at TID 7024523 to see all the details about that, the ZDC, the agent cleanup, and so forth. The ZENworks 2020 Update 2 beta program is now in effect. Okay, go out there, see if you want to be on the beta. If you do, you can always email zen@microfocus.com so we can put you in the list. We've already had a couple of meetings, but we're if you feel compelled, come on in. It's a great way to see what's coming up in the product as well as how to do things and conversations with the developers. Okay. Hello, Martin. Thank you for joining us. Appreciate you shouting out. Also, the mirrors have been synced for the different products. I'm sorry, we've had some mirror issues for the security patches, but it looks like they're resolved. I went out there this morning, and it looks like I can get to all of those products now. Let me see if I can get those up. There we go. Oh, did I want to do that? I wanted to actually do this one. Let's minimize that. We'll go to, for instance, my ZCM. Make sure you check your online updates. 150. Should come up, and then we'll do 160. See which one comes up faster. Oh, we do have a ZENworks appliance here. If we log in, you can see we have online updates. So security patches for 20.1, I have not applied them yet. Wanted to show that there are security patches here. Okay. As well as Service Desk, we can log in here. And we can see we have online updates here and ZRS. If we go over to .91. just be sure to check those. These are the February patches, and make sure you apply those so that you're up to sync. It should happen every quarter. You can see we have online updates here. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and shut these down. I'll apply them later. So be sure to keep those updated. Close those. Very good. Again, if you want to participate in the beta program, zen@microfocus.com. Again, ZCM, if you have just a ZCM product, we're at 2020 Update 1. You could still join the beta if you wish to. Please give a shout out to us if you wish to do that. ZCM PRU March 2021 is out, and also ZCM 2017 extended support is through April. So we're coming up to that deadline. So if you're on 2017, start migrating. If you need some help with that, give us a call, and we'll be happy to assist you with that. There are imaging drivers out there for November 2020. I haven't checked to see when the next set is coming out, but being that Update 2 is coming out, it's hard to tell if it's going to be probably after that point. But anyway, the latest drivers are November 2020. And then ZCM Mobile. There's an important message out there regarding iOS APN certificates. Apple is changing the way they're doing certificates, and so we need to adapt, and we have some FTFs out there for you if you're using that part of the product. Okay, it'll be fixed in Update 2, but if you have Update 1 or lower, you can see we have some links here for you to grab the patches. And that's because Apple's changing some ways they're doing it, and we're just accommodating those Apple push notifications. And then there was another TID that was out there this last week about log rotate for appliances was growing. And so there's just a TID out here that you can kind of check out, see if you're experiencing disk space issues, running out of disk space, check it out and see if that's something that might be in effect for you. Okay, and the OWS suite, again, we talked about this a couple times in the past couple months. If you're on OWS, you can get the supplement of the ZENworks Desktop Suite by doing an add-on. So check with your purchasing agent with that, and you'll be able to actually get the full complement of ZENworks Suite. MFDC 21.1 is the current version, should be out there on your download portal. It includes Turbo Hub and streaming for at-home workers. And the 21 version has the learning tools interoperability, which lets you integrate with Blackboard, Canvas, and Moodle. So if you're academics and you're using that, you can dovetail the ZENworks Microfocus desktop containers right into your Blackboard, Canvas, or Moodle. So check that out. It's not an additional charge. It's just something that we're enhancing the product with, especially with the at-home workers and in the academic realm. And then Simplify Remote Learning with Desktop Containers was one that was out there. It's a great learning tool on, it was a webinar. And then Jason Blackett's guest presentation last week, he had a short presentation. You could download that here. This is to Filer again, and you could download his particular PowerPoint that he used when he was doing his demonstration. And then the ZENcast Live from last week is here as well. So again, be sure to double check, download this particular PowerPoint, and you'll have all the links embedded. I'm going to go ahead and I think it's still out there. It's on the chat. Patch Tuesday highlights. Darren goes out each month and puts out a presentation for Patch Tuesday, and it didn't dovetail in there. There we go. And so you can see March is out there. It's a great resource because if you have particular OSs that you need to make sure, certain things that are happening that are critical and severe on some of these. The CVEs are listed and so forth. So great resource for you. He does that monthly. And then the February 2021 stack update recommendation was a community post out there so that you can check that as well, okay, for ZPM patching. Okay, and ZSD. Currently we're on version 8.2. Again, the online update, excuse me, the online update is out there. Make sure you patch your online update. ZSD version 8.21 beta is now open. So if you are interested, oops, let me go back. I thought I clicked on it. There we go. If you're interested in being on the beta for that, there's two ways you can go through this. This one tells about how it's available, and they propped up a service desk out there, and you can log in as an admin and kick the tires if you don't have time to install it. But if you wanted to install it in your environment itself, you could then also email zen@microfocus.com, and we'll provide you with the download link for the FTP site. Okay, so but they prop when they come into the betas, they prop one up there for anybody to kick the tires and kind of check things out. That's pretty nice because sometimes you don't have time to install it, but others want to actually put it in their environment. Do so. That's great. It'll cover some quick calls and dynamic forms, even non-quick call dynamic forms and quick call dynamic forms. Create normal requests based on quick calls, email capabilities and workflows now, attachment preview and request summary, store assignments, improved ZCM remote management integration, and more. So that particular beta, just this morning I got that, and it's just arrived on the community site this morning. So go out there, check it out, and go through that. Another thing that just came out this past weekend was TID 7025033, which is a customization cookbook. And what this is we'll have questions come into support about how would you do this or that. And it really isn't a defect, but it's a customization of the product, right, to get it to do a particular thing. And so we're starting to make a list of those now. Until they get documented in formal documentation, we can put them in TIDs. And so this is basically response from development on how to do certain things. Not just development, but our specialists in the field and so forth. Okay, and what customers have encountered. So there's things about, ZSD chat functionality, the migration to supported database. Be aware that VMware Workstation support is dropped, but then there's scenarios like the propose button to be present in notes. How would you do that? You're not seeing them. You want to double check what your settings are. This will have those settings. Okay. Branding, if you want to brand the customer end user portal top menu bar, if you want to customize the portal's login branding, colors, and text for your environment and your company. So this is a new concept of a customization cookbook that links to customizations of ZENworks Service Desk. So I hope you find that to your liking, and if there's any ideas, feel free to email me or your tech support, and we'll be happy to put that in there if you have something really cool to put in there. ZRS's current version is 7.2. Again, online updates. There was a message about LDAP groups with special characters. Watch the special characters in LDAPs because sometimes they're not allowed. Okay, so I just wanted to mention that if you have your AD and you have groups, user groups, and they have special characters in them, be careful, make sure they're working or not working, have some type of workaround or create and do a different name. But the future release of ZRS 7.8 will be released with ZCM 2020 Update 2. So I haven't heard of a beta yet. I know they're focused on ZCM 2020 Update 2. So, but I suspect that 7.8 will be also an OS release, so it'll be a side-by-side upgrade to version 7.8. So you'll probably have to back up and move reports over. That's only speculation, though. So there's a couple things. ZAM, there's Gardner Peer Insights had a ZENworks Asset Management for Education, a great article out there that they had seen. So it's always good to be able to be in the press for positive lights, especially with Gartner. And then ZMM, the ZENworks Mobile Management, the legacy product, not the ZCM with mobile management, but ZMM. Support ended December 2020. So if you're still on that product, be sure to start migrating off, move over to the ZCM mobile management, and you'll be fine. I did want, Filer isn't part of ZENworks, but I did want to have a shout out to Robin Redgrave, who does similar thing that we're doing here with Filer. He does a drop-in once a month. If you download this particular PPTX, you'll be able to grab the Outlook calendar, the iCal calendar directly from it, or you can probably go out to the Filer community group and see that he's out there. Some of the events, Micro Focus Universe 2021. Again, March 23rd through the 25th, there's a series of, it's virtual, so basically webinars or presentations that will be on there. Feel free to register and lock in on some of those events on products that you have in your environment. And so some of the recordings you can find, if they're webinars, they're going to be out under the webinar index. And even though they may be fairly old, they still apply. We still apply with WinP image based by leveraging your existing ZENworks. This is a great article as far as imaging and understanding how to do that. Active zero touch Windows deployment. We'll cover some of this, I think, next ZENcast. But feel free to go out there because there's a lot of learning material out there just on the past webinars. And then Open Horizon Virtual Summit, November 2020 it's obviously last year, but they had the recordings. If you wanted to go into the recordings and see some of the stuff for ZENworks in there, you can do so. Some of the articles, IDC MarketScape names Micro Focus a major player for unified endpoint management. So this is a great article. It has some links directly to IDC, and we're just really proud of what's going on in the ZENworks space and the unified endpoint management space, and so we wanted to let you know that others are recognizing this as well. ZENworks patch management was integrated into Myers software delivery pipeline. Interesting on that particular article. And then there's some surveys. Let IT professional know how great ZENworks is. Gardner Peer Insight is asking for you to tell them about ZENworks. So this is exciting for us as well. And then the ZENcast progress survey. Just how are we doing with the ZENcast? What are some of the things you'd like us to provide for you? It's a short, survey about just what do you want or what do you expect in ZENcast. And we want to provide that for you. ZENworks community is doing a great job. There's a lot of articles out there. Just don't forget about them. Using Active Directory user source with ZCM optimization and issue resolution. This was an interesting article out there from Craig. If I remember correctly, it was Craig or Jason. I think it was Craig. But it's really detailed on what goes on as you're using an Active Directory user source and how you can optimize it. Also, we talked a little bit about the iOS APM certificate changes. That TID is here again. And then the ZCM 2020 appliance log rotate growth, again, is copied here. This was all in the ZENworks community. So we're going to recap a little bit. We had Jason on last week for Desktop Containers 21.1. It's released. It has some learning tools and interoperability. We're excited that he took the time to go out there. So the link is here, and check out that demo if you missed it. We're going to jump into AdminStudio 2019. If there's any questions on the products, feel free to shout them out in chat. I appreciate everybody's that joined us today. So today's agenda is going to be the AdminStudio, real quick, maybe 20 minutes or so, doing a repackager, tuner. There's a distribution wizard for ZCM that drops it into your zone. And then we're going to talk a little bit about ZENworks ZCC reporting, how that fits into asset management with ZSD and inventory management with ZCM. Those are actually, I'm sorry, we're going to talk about the inventory reporting, but in the past we had an asset management with ZSD. It was a ZENcast Live, and we had an inventory management with ZCM. So we have different things regarding asset management, managing your assets and service desk. There's asset management for ZCM. There's inventory management, and then there's reporting on all that. Okay, so we've had a couple of ZENcast Lives. I wanted to put the links there in case you're interested to view those. So AdminStudio 2019 ZENworks Edition. 2021 I think is coming out soon. I don't know when that is. Well, this one has 2020. Yeah, 2020 ZENworks Edition. So there's, just so you know that that's coming. There haven't been a whole lot of changes in that except for what AdminStudio has put into going from 2019 to 2020. Obviously fixes and other small details. I haven't gotten that list yet because I haven't seen it yet. However, there are things that AdminStudio does to help you get your packages running quicker, and they actually have a package feed module. So if you're looking for any particular package, this is starting in alphabetical order, you can go out to their site and see what they have as far as getting some packages pre-made as well, so that you can alter them and modify them. Some of the components in AdminStudio is the application manager, distribution wizard, OS snapshot wizard, process template editor, repackager tuner, virtual package editor. Some of these require you to upgrade to AdminStudio from Flexera, but the ones I treasure the most is the repackager and the tuner, because you can install monitoring or do a snapshot, and then the tuner creates transforms for your MSIs. Very, very good stuff out there as far as it really does a great job on those things. This is what it'll look like when it's installed, and we'll get to the lab in just a minute. It'll give you all of these things, but if you go into some of them, it may say you need to license for the full Flexera Admin 2019. So just be aware, we take a portion of this that we really can use for ZENworks and make it work. Okay, so AdminStudio 2019, we're going to get into the tuner, we're going to get into the repackager. There are other things like Orca, if you haven't heard of that, that can get into the MSI, and you can make adjustments like install, where to install it. I mean, it's basically the guts of the MSI itself and how it works, and you can make those modifications. And then there's other transform makers. When I first started as a ZENworks admin, we got Adobe Reader, and so we started wrapping Adobe Reader, but we had a hard time with this particular tuner to be able to get that transform. And we found out that Adobe has its own transform maker, and we'll cover a little bit about that. And then don't forget about the EXE, the wrapper, the switches, right? So let's go on over there now. Let's see what we got in our lab. I think we're using this lab here. Let's see if I got it. Yeah, let's close this. There we go. All right, so we have AdminStudio installed. However, one thing I want to go through, let me see, where did I put it there? Yeah, is the Acrobat customization. So for instance, this is the Adobe Acrobat customization wizard that they put together. make sure that if you're having a hard time with the tuner, because the tuner works most of the time, if you're having a hard time with it, double check with that vendor to see if they have their own packager. But if we were to open up a tune and go to Acrobat Pro and open, you can see here we have all these ways, changes we can do within this installer. We can throw in licenses. We can, set silent run installation, reboots. All of this is in their installation for making an MST. Okay, and that way you can make a silent install. Right, the MST is just to automate the install. MSI, you run an MSI with switches and or with a transform, and you'll automate it. Okay, so there's files and folders that may be inherent with it. Do you want to create a PDF? So this is their customization. We're not going to go through this one as detailed, but I wanted to let you know that there are other transform makers, and sometimes vendors have their own. Okay, so we're going to go through the tuner, and we're going to go, oh, there's right here. So let's go to the tuner and see what we have. Any questions, go ahead and feel free to shout out. Happy to see if we can help you out. We can create a new transform, open an existing, open a recent existing, or Flexera on the web. So we're going to create a new, and we're going to just browse over to, let's say, the LDAP browser, right? It's an MSI. We're going to open it up. We're going to create an MST, and we want a response transform. Okay. This is, I'm sorry, we don't need it. If you use a response transform, you can actually put command line properties in there. All right. So sometimes you have, because an EXE is really a wrapper, right? It's a wrapper that within it has all these items to be installed. And so with an MSI, you can then create an MST to automate that. Let's go ahead and do a create. Now you see it's similar to the Adobe, right? I mean, you have features, you have shortcuts, INI files, and so forth. So my favorite is going up to the setup properties and the dialogues. Okay. Right now, if I run this MST, if I were to save this MST, it would go through each one of these dialogues and it would pop up, and we would have to, oops, no. It would, these aren't actually live. That's what throws me off every time. It would have each of these pop-ups. So what you could do is you could actually hide these. But it's going to say, okay, if you hide this, what do you want as part of this value? So we say product name. So most of these are filled in. If we do hide for this, there was nothing in there. It's just a next, right? So it just, there's not even a next. It just pops that up for a minute. So the license dialog, what does it look like? It looks like this. So we're going to want to accept the agreement, right? So if we do a hide, it's going to say, well, what do you want to do? You want to accept? And we say yes. Okay. So it's actually looking in the MSI and creating your transform. We can hide this. Start installation dialog. Let's hide. What's it going to say? Reinstall. We're going to reinstall all. Single feature. Because essentially we want to, and we could put install dir. Actually, this one, what does it look like? Let's go properties. Cancel. Let's go preview. Oh, to the folder. So we would put whatever we want in here as far as if we're hiding it. We would put in C:// backslash C:/ LDAP browser. Now we know we want to do in program files and all that. So you'd put what you need to in this particular directory. We'll hit OK on that. We can now hide that because we filled in those. Okay, installation type dialog. What property, what preview is this? We're going to do a complete, right? So we'll basically do install level. We'll do 1,000 on the install level, which is who installs it and at what level. But we can then hide that. Feature dialog. Well, we said complete, so I'm curious to see what it wants. We don't have any features to select. Let's see if we can just hide it. Install directory, okay. Extra tasks we can hide. So here's a bunch of different things. Desktop shortcut. Oh, so if we cancel this, we go to previews, you can see this is what it's asking us. So how are we going to fill this in, right? And so we're just going to go hide. It's going to pop up. We're going to say desktop shortcut. Let's go to import version, and the required ones obviously are in exclamation points. And again, test this out, check it out, see if it. We're going to do all for the remove, and then progress. What does this give us? It just shows us the progress. So we could leave that on if we wanted to, right? And see the progress, or just hide it. So let's leave that on since that's the only thing we have left on. Okay. We're going to basically leave most everything else, but if you wanted to, this is what we just saw in those dialogues. We set these ones, right? There's our C LDAP browser. So this is basically what we saw in our dialogues plus more, okay? Because there's a lot of different things to look at. If you had server locations, those types of things. We don't. If we wanted to change anything in the registry, we could add it right into the package. And then we can go ahead and post validation. Will it validate? It'll show a warning or error. Package. So we're pretty much set. Okay. So you can create an installation launcher exe here, or we can use the MST. Okay. And I'm tempted just to go like this and say, let's do that. Let's go here. We got to do an MSI validation. It's going through. It's showing down here. Here's your progress. And we don't need me in the picture. Let me turn the webcam off. It takes a few minutes. I go over to the validation side. We're seeing things happening here. And then when we have it packaged, it'll package here. I don't know at what point they put in the exe because I haven't done this in a while, and I always use the MST because then I threw it into ZCM, did an MSI bundle install, and added the MST right in there, and off we went. Let's see what we got. Not yet. 3 errors. So it tells you what those errors were. Will it create for you? Let me see. No, that was Acrobat. We made it in here, so I don't see it here. Where was my output going to be? Oh, here we go. Transform validation. I think it's going to go through the same thing. It's saying some register keys are used in an unsupported way. But is that just because it's a shareware type, or is that because it's not going to run? Typically it should run. Or I'm missing something. Giving an error on each one of these. There's the install directory. It's hard coded in the property table. Remember, I entered C:\LDAP browser. I think that's what's balking about on that particular one. 18 errors on the MSI. Let's go over to here. Let's do, we got the setup properties, server locations. Let's not create an exe. Let's just do transform validation. It's gonna, shouldn't have too much of a problem because we're just following the dialog actions. And most of them we took as default. While that's ready, let me open up. Whoa, we want to go run command. Okay. Let me make this bigger for you. Properties. Font. That should be a little bit better. Okay, and so dir WinSCP/?. This is where I was talking about the switches. If you're not certain what your switches are, the good ones will give you your switches. So you're able to, and this is obviously an exe, but it'll tell you how to do silent, suppress message boxes. You can string these all together depending on what you need. And, you know, the current user, the all users, so that it'll do a silent install. You can do it with switches as well. Let's see if we got file. Oh, it saved. Where did it save it? Let's see. Did it save it? Yeah, right there. MST file. So let's try and install this. And this is in downloads. So let's go here. Let's do MSI exec/I LDAP MSI. The switch for MSTs. I forgot what the switch was for the MST. LDAP. If you know chat, give me a holler out. I don't think I can just string them together. There we go. All right, so there's the I. We can do /Q, but we can also do shows how long it's been since I've done that. Because I just throw the MST into ZENworks and do it. But you should be able to do that. I don't have, this one is linked. It is, but that zone is not up. So you should be able to take this and take the LDAP. And now you have an MST and an MSI, and it should do an install. I'm going to close. Let me do a file open. Again, if we do a create new, and if you needed to go back into it, you can open a recent or go to an existing transform and then modify it. So you may, after you do your testing, may need to do that. Transforms equal. Thanks, Jeff. Thanks, Jeff. Boy. Okay. LDAP browser new MST. So there's something not right in there. It should install like this. Oh no. LDAP. I got something wrong in my command line. Cancel. I don't, Jeff, I apologize for that. I don't know what that was, why it nixed you on that or deleted that message. Transforms equal. I'll check into that. I probably have to do a whitelist on that word. I don't know why it would do that. Okay. It will install, just run in the LDAP, MSI exec, LDAP. There, that works. Hang on. Maybe I needed to do the whole, hang on, exit. Yes. Let's try one more time. Transforms equals, I knew it was something easy. LDAP, MST. Okay. So the transform paths are invalid. So we'd have to adjust that, go in and make sure that our transforms were, we'd open it up, open an existing, should have it here in our paths. That was that where I put in that C colon. Not there, dialogues. Welcome license read, it was installation properties. Single. Oh, this isn't required. Let me just do that. And then we'll do file save. Oh, we need to do transform validation. Then we'll go back into and try. Or old database. I suspect it's the or old database. I've seen that before. See if we have. It will rebuild that once it's done. I think we said we were only going to show the progress. Almost. Okay. Should have a MST, new MST. Oh, wait a minute. It is the same. Okay, good. So now if I do, I'm making sure that time change. It has. Okay, so let's go here. Not the new. I also used the wrong MST. Yeah, we're still applying transforms. Paths are invalid. So this is where testing comes in. I don't want to burn up too much time, but wanted to at least let you be exposed to this tuner to create transforms. I think it's a great product as far as if you just have an MSI and you need to automate stuff, throw it into ZENworks, you can create a transform through that. We're going to go over to Repackager. And again, you want to capture an installation. So, or you can open another package or convert. So we're going to capture, and this is where you do, if you remember the old ZENworks desktop management days, ZDM 765, we had a snapshot. This is what this does. Okay, it'll do a snapshot, or it'll just monitor. So for instance, we're going to do installation monitoring. It'll watch. Okay, it doesn't actually install. Or it could do a snapshot and do a snapshot before and then after and grab the deltas. Okay, so we're going to do a monitor. And so if we did, for instance, the LDAP, we'll take that as well. Where's my LDAP? Downloads. Or we'll pick WinSCP. Because it has to be an EXE, not an MSI. So this is the EXE port part of it. Notice it filled everything in, and it's going to go to C packages. Run Microsoft Step Recorder if you wanted to go through that so that you can view it later. We're not going to do that. Edit capture settings. If you were going to capture it, we're just going to go straight through start. Folder in this name does not exist. Yes, I want to create a new project folder. So it's going to make a WinSCP under capture. So if we go over to C packages, see there's a WinSCP there now. So it's going to check out the system. So the tuner is good for the MSIs. The repackager is good for the EXE. If you wanted to throw extra things in the EXE, maybe you wanted a different README that's branded with your organization. Maybe you need an INI in there to route it to a particular server or network location. You could do that. I didn't fire this off yesterday. I fired it off last week, but seems to be taking a little bit longer. But it's going through. All right. So we looked at the switches. We saw the other transform makers. Let me see if there's some of the best practices. Sorry, I have best practices twice there. This is what we're going to look at. Best practices there's a reference guide. There's an AdminStudio reference guide that for ZENworks. And then there's a TID out there as well that if you're building from scratch, how to make a clean OS, and that particular TID has been built up from Win 7 to Win 10. So we're going to say install for all users. So it's giving us a little bit of a wizard here. We're going to accept the license agreement for WinSCP. It's going to be a typical installation, and we're going to do install. There it is, new. And then we don't need to launch. So what it'll do is it'll rewrap that to automatically put those parameters in when you're installing and create a new package for you for WinSCP. So that you don't get help desk calls saying, I just installed the WinSCP and it's prompted me for this. What do I select? Um, so it basically wraps it into the exe. Make sense? And here we go. So if you wanted to add shortcuts, if you want to take shortcuts off the desktop, you could do so. Okay. Um, we put it in the program menu though. Package information. You can add other things to it if you had a license or if you had a URL, or maybe you want a product URL that's a link in the program. It may, instead of going to WinSCP site, it goes to your help desk, or it goes to your help desk knowledge base to show steps or something, right? Okay. So we've captured those things. You can change the registry. And we'll go ahead and hit save. Oh, there's the build. Yeah, that's right. Now it's going to compile it all. Oh, you know what it is? Jeff, again, I apologize for that. All caps. I know that's what we needed for our code. I was trying to figure out why it was said refraining from spamming, and it was because of the all caps. I have that turned on. So I got to turn that off because we obviously use that in a lot of different command lines. Okay, looks like we're done. Not yet. Creating shortcuts. Yeah, it sees all caps as yelling. All right. An app on your needs Windows feature. Oh, it needs it. We will download and install this feature. Interesting that came in. I don't know if that's... Interesting. Let's skip. I don't think for this process we need it because I think it's already actually installed on this box. And if we hit save, we did build. See, build should be done. Let's see if we hit save. Because I could keep rebuilding. So that's why it stays highlighted. So it's going to go into, there's your log. Sorry if that's a little small. There's an output log file. But if we look into packages, we should get WinSCP. This is what it used. Did it save? C packages in WinSCP. But this should tell us the cabs built, finished successfully. Okay. So if we were to, I need to uninstall off this guy. Let's do that real quick. Again, testing, right? Okay, let's go. It's not done building it. Let's go here. Uninstall. Uninstall. Yes. Okay, should be gone. Go here, whoops, and we install. Which is the latest one? This one here. Oh, that's the package. Sorry, my bad. It labels it, but I expected to see a full exe, but it made right here 856. Oh, that's it. But it's still prompting us. Oh, no. Finish. Because there's a transform. Let's do the transform. Let's see, where am I? MSI. Oh, wait. Yeah. Yeah, WinSCP and WinSCP. So let's do MSI exec. Oh. Hang on. Boy. Should have practiced a little bit more with the repackager. Yeah, let's go to the repackager here. Go here again. I was thinking that I had an MSI in here. Oh, it's not an MSI. This is just an installer package. Oh, so it was, yeah, it was just wrapping in. It didn't do an MSI. It was just wrapping in anything we wanted to add to. The repackager repackages what you might want to add in. So now, actually, if we were to install this just using the WinSCP, it should not create a desktop. That's pretty much the only thing we changed. But it should install and show us WinSCP here. Yeah. So the repackager throws it back in as an exe again, but adjusted to what you had in it. So, all right. So that's repackager, and that takes exes and repackages exe into a new exe with your customizations. And then we have tuner, which will create MSTs for you and run through. Again, I like the dialogues and the setup properties best. Again, testing and walking it through to get the right settings just right. Normally doesn't take too much, but I didn't want to burn up too much time, so I hope that helps. There's that. Okay, any questions on AdminStudio? Remember, AdminStudio has a repository, and make sure you may want to put in some dependency. We saw that one thing flash up for the .NET 3.5. Uncertain that why it would want that. I think it might just be the OS was finding something, just coincidental, I think. So remember the supporting dependencies, you can dovetail those in. Okay, let's go over to our other lab. Here we go. And we have ZCM 2020 update 1 here. We're going to talk a little bit about ZCM Inventory. Is anybody out there using the administrator defined fields? It's really, really handy. It allows you to do things like enhanced reporting. It helps you get additional data into the database, either by the registry, by the environment variables. It gives you a series of tables starting with NC underscore. So if we went over to, where's my, do I have it up? Not there. ZCM, I think I have it here. Yeah, I got my DB viewer up. So anything, if we look at the tables under the ZENworks, I don't know if I can get this bigger. Apologize for the size on that. Tables. You'll notice in there NC, there's LC underscore, then there's NC underscore. NC is all the ZCM inventory. LC is more the licensing and contract for ZAM. Okay. So there's a bunch of different tables in here regarding those. So we'll focus in on the NC. There's catalog products, there's components, contract, licensed products, machines. We're going to, oh, thanks, Bruce. Yes, I know you have extensive experience. Thanks for joining us. So they've enhanced, it used to be 20 across the board, but recently they enhanced it, I think in 2017, update 3 or something. They enhanced it to 100. We've done a couple of sessions on this with a ZENcast. We've done, like I said, the asset management and the ZCM inventory. We're just going to go into some reporting today, and you can look at the other ZENcasts as well. Bob Reynolds did a great job on service desk inventory, using service desk for your inventory as well. Let me go back. So administrator defined field is just exactly that. It's administrators that have defined fields that you can define your own fields. In this particular case, I'm creating my own reports, and I want to do some things like I want to check to see if the kiosk is locked down. How would I do that? I can look in the registry to see if it's using the Now view for the Explorer or if it's using Explorer for the Explorer. So things like that, if you wanted to pull from the registry, or if you wanted to check security, who's doing auto admin login devices. So I've done this a little bit different, more of the reporting side than the inventory side, because we've covered some of the inventory side. So we're going to cover a little bit of both today. So what I did is I went in and I configured, let me close this. So I configured first I created some administrator defined fields, okay, in my workstation. You can see I have 14. This I can increase. Hang on. How's that? Okay, better, I hope. And I'm going to do this. Let me adjust these because I'm in a VM Okay, so under the workstation, I created these extras. These top 4 are for physical inventories. We have technicians going out there, and the same with the printers. We have technicians going out there. They need to do a physical inventory once a year to see where all their devices are. We got to account financially and so forth. So I threw number 1 monitor, number 2 monitor. Hopefully they just have 2. If there's others, we can fill in additional. You can see how it could fill up quick, and so they increased it to 100 from 20. We maxed them out when I was at my previous job, and so it was great that they enhanced that to 100. So number 1 monitor, number 2, and the serial number, and then the printer if it's local attached, right? And then what we do is you say, well, how do we get that to the desktop? Well, if you weren't aware, we have what we call is collection data forms. So we can now configure in the collection data form, and I'm going to minimize this a little bit. You can see this is a standard collection data form. Typically this is all blank, right, because it hasn't been used by default. So I turned on the ZENworks icon menu, and that would be, you know what, hang on a second, I'm going to do this. Give more real estate here. I hope that's better. Okay. So in my device, what did I do? I went over to, oh, I haven't pressed on it then. In my device, I have my icon, and I have collection data form here, right? So, well, what is in the collection data form is what I put in that other area, monitor 1, monitor 2, and other things. And I just displayed them for purposes of this particular ZENcast. You can see I don't have first name on. Let's turn first name, last name on. We can do that. Again, we show it in the ZENworks icon, the collection data form. We show the cancel button on the form. The one thing about show cancel button on the form is if you have a required field and if it's not filled in, they can't go any further. And so if you have somebody else logging into the machine and they can't answer that question, right? Um, they can't cancel it, and it just makes it a bugger. You may want that in certain circumstances, but I like to show the cancel button so that they can at least skip through it. Invisible mode is it'll run automatically because you can schedule this. So you can actually schedule running of a form to collect data so that you can report on it, right? And when I say report on it, we can then go over to we're in the control center. If we were to go to, yeah, that's fine. Back over here, we'll go to the device that it should be right. Oh, no, it's not there. We go to devices, and I'm going to go to, actually, let's go home. It's a managed device. It's going to be this guy. And if we go inventory, you'll be able to see in the inventory the additional information. So we have monitor 2. Monitor 1's over here. I have everything in here. We could turn some of these off and on. But it's collecting that inventory for this device. So that's what I mean by reporting it, or reporting with some of the canned reports or the custom reports that I built. Let's go back to the configuration and the collection data form. Let's minimize this, and so we get full screen. You can then say, I want to display first and last name, and you can make it editable if you want. I'm going to hit apply just so I don't forget. But what I've done is I've also said, notice some of these are editable. Monitor 1, monitor 2, right? We want to display that, and I put a little text in here. Enter the monitor number 1 model. Okay, so it gives them a little guidance. So if you need to instruct them at all, you can. The auto admin login is basically pulling it from the registry, and it's looking for explorer.exe in here or something other. So if you had a kiosk and you did like we did, we had a kiosk. Hello, Valerie. Valerie says, very useful for collecting info from registry. Yes, it is very useful. And if you have a couple tips on what you pulled for, feel free to put it in chat. I'm sure others would be interested in knowing that. So we did some kiosks for the public use, and we wanted to make sure that the now Win32 was the Explorer, not the Explorer.exe. So we could easily check that. You could check user domain. You could check, anything from the registry that you wanted. Here's a shell that I was looking for the Win logon shell. Is Explorer.exe or not? Processor architecture, and you can then report on these. So I've added these in. You could do things like drop downs. You could do predefined formats. If we hit edit here, you can have a choice list, or you can see, here's the drop down here. So you can modify this quite a bit. Now what we did is so good to hear that others are using this, because it's one of those hidden gems in ZCM that is just can be so valuable in use. If we go to then you have the schedule, but I'm sorry, I got distracted there, sorry. So let's say we went to user domain. You can then say, I don't want it, I want a list, or I want a combo. So let's say you're looking for a particular site in an inventory, and somebody goes around and this particular PC's been moved to another site, right? But you don't know that because the inventory doesn't update automatically. You can pull that from the registry, maybe the location it's at. Or if you do a physical inventory, you have that form, you could have a preset list of sites, right? So it's quite handy. It's really good. Locations really helps it too. I have not saved that's okay. Okay, so we've gone through, and you can then, like I said, you could do invisible mode, and you can do the wrong one. You could do the collection data form schedule. Okay, you can schedule it, recurring or whatever. Now, those that are out there that use this, do you have recurring reporting or recurring schedules? Just curious. Or do you just use it as needed? So some of the reports I put together for the ZENcast is a kiosk lockdown. Here's a bunch of devices. If I run this, here's a bunch of devices. I'm going to try and make it larger. So we're looking at the shell, and we could see that this is really my only live device that I tested it. Explorer.exe is where it came from. If we went over to what we're doing is we're going into here, run, regedit, oh, there it was. And I think it's right here. Oh no, this was where I grabbed the name, and we'll see that on another OS, but it's under Windows. Make sure I got my right spot. Current version, wrong spot, hang on. Software, Microsoft, Windows, current version. Oh no, I'm sorry, it's WinLog on NT for that one. And we are pulling for the Explorer.exe. Hang on. WinLog on, I thought that's what it was. Let's go see where it was. Flustered, sorry. Go up. We can close this one. We are looking in the kiosk. Kiosk shell. Okay, so we have it there. And when we define it in the custom collection data form, we go here. Yes. And we're finding a Microsoft Windows NT current version WinLog on shell. Current version WinLog on shell. Right here. So it's pulling this, because this is what you could change to have it use it as a different shell, right? So that's how we did so it's actually pulling from that location. So let's go back over to our reports. So do we have other examples of what we like to pull from for this? Now, this is more of I set it up more of a security because we did a different one on inventory. But if you have things, and go ahead and feel free and chat and shout them out, what you've used this for. Here's a security for auto admin logins. Maybe you don't want people doing auto admin logins, right? You want to make sure they're logging into the domain. Well, we could see here we have it set to 1. So this one, auto admin login, is set to 1. That's a no-no. Go track that bugger down, right? Or it may be valid too, but just as a matter of this example. And then Zen user and realm, are they logging in to the domain? What's the realm they're using, and what's the name they're using? So you can set up your reports to do that. And editing the report definition is fairly simple. In this case, I have machine name, Windows domain, ZenRealm, Zen user. Both of these are pulling from ADFs, which are from the registry. And then I say machine name contains, I narrowed it down to desktop so that we wouldn't get a huge list. And then saved it. Now, one thing to note, this description here, when you're doing reporting, does not come out on the report, right? So if we put in security for Zen user login, right? We hit save. Yes. And I close. And I go back in. And we can see the description, right? And when we hit run, it doesn't tell us that here. So I put in a enhancement for that. Because it would be nice to know what this one is particularly pulled for, right? What is the description for this? Okay. All right. We can close this. So that's the Zen inventory, and if you look on my if you download both of these here, the asset management with ZSD and inventory management with ZCM, those were previous ZENcasts, and so this kind of just dovetails into that for a little different purpose. So we talked about administrator defined fields, how to get data into the database. There's ZCC reporting. There's inventory reporting, which we also saw for that one device here. We saw for inventory, if we wanted for inventory, we can see that it's added to the detailed hardware software inventory right here. I got a lot of things in there, so it collected everything in there. But then it put in here what it is. Maybe we need to go, we have some 32 bits out there when we're checking, right? And then auto admin login, Windows 10, Explorer.exe. You can see some more details about who's logging into that box, as well as if we put in the monitor model. So if we went ahead and did that, let's say we're doing a physical inventory, we can go ahead and say it's a Dell 24-inch, and we got ABC 123, Dell 24-inch, right? And then we printer local attached. We don't have one, so we'll say none. So we can see that come in. We see that it pulled the AMD, the auto admin login, user domain. I'll have to check why that didn't come in. I think that was that was from the registry. And then Roadrunner, the others were filled in. Let's go submit. And we will then go back over to our inventory on this box. Notice we don't have models in here. We can close this. We can go ahead and go into inventory. Then you can see it's populated. Okay, under other information. Quick do on that portion of it. All right. What are the thoughts out there about ADFs? Hope I'm doing it justice. Oh, one thing to note is reporting rights. You have, for non-super admins, to be able to do and view and execute for the reporting rights. So that is for because super admins obviously have rights to everything. But let's say you're you have some that are non, and you're graduating them up to be able to start doing reporting, and you can then start giving them rights for that. Okay, so that's why I put that in there. The other thing, and Bruce, you might be able to answer this for me, and I haven't found a way to do it, but there's I had a question about, we run reports, we do inventory. We know what's supposed to be on the box. Can we run a report that is what's not supposed to be on the box? So basically having a blacklist of what you don't want to report, right? And maybe ZRS can do this, but does that make sense? Because we want to blacklist everything we know is on the box. And then if you have this, then you just have this short little inventory of, you have this application or you have this thing attached, and so that you can basically just report on that instead. So basically the deltas of what's not supposed to be, what isn't supposed to be on the box. I don't know if Bruce, if you're still on, if you have any input on that. But that would be kind of cool, being able to blacklist or whitelist so that you could say, okay, I already know this stuff. I don't need that in my list. Because as you can tell, the inventory list can be fairly long, right? And maybe you just want to know what, maybe 7-zip shouldn't be on there, right? What's it doing there? We have another application to do that, right? But I do think it's really helpful, this inventory list. There's other things we can get into in another ZENcast, which encompasses contract licenses and reconciliation, which is a whole nother part of ZAM, right? Asset management. You have software usage, license management, contract management, and documents. Very nice way to house everything in one location. And then you can see here I referenced my ZENworks, and I'm at a deficit for my zone, but that'll be another ZENcast because that can get some details. Wicked challenging, he's saying. Okay, there's no easy way to define the reference list against which to measure exceptions. Good explanation on that, by the way, for very short sentences. That would be really, yeah, it would be challenging. That's what I found as well. But I think it would be interesting to follow up, and if there's a way. Okay, so again, this is what's coming. This will be coming up in the future, probably summertime, and we'll have a little more details on this, and may solicit some of you to for your input as well. Let me go here. So yeah, Q&A report on deltas. Here's a set of ZCM asset inventory references. If you're looking to dive into this and understand it a little bit more, there's a set of reference material here, all on the it's referencing the documentation for the most part. Okay, 2020 update 1 on most of these. Valerie mentioned some ADFs that we pull back from the registry. Windows image build version. Oh, very good. We have several builds, so you know what build that particular device came from, or that inventory came from. RDP enabled. VMware server pool for our VMware Horizon devices to link with its directory. Oh, very smart. Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, it's very powerful being able to pull from the registry, especially since a lot of that is integrated with the product itself. No sense trying to find out if it's connected or this and that when the registry is the tell-all, right? So thank you for that, Valerie. I appreciate that. Any other questions from the crowd about the ADFs? I hope it gave you a little more light on how to configure it. Again, configuring is you go and you tell it you want something in asset inventory from one of these components, in our case a workstation. You give it a name, you do new and fill out the details, right? And then once you do that, you could then see it in the inventory collection data form. And again, you can also do the invisible mode if you don't have anything that's critical that they need to fill out. You can then, once you get to that point, you can say, okay, I need to grab it from where? The registry or the environment. Okay. And then here's the registry, right? And you basically give it all the way and let it bring the answer of this key in, right? And then you can either expose it or not expose it to the user. You could then go over to the inventory and view it on the device inventory. Hope that was a good summary. All right. Good stuff. If I have no other questions, we're coming up next week. Oh, let's see. Yeah, subscribe to the playlist. April, we will be having our imaging. I'm hoping to have a guest on with this. Again, I haven't done imaging in a little bit. That isn't my forte, but we got some great guys, some colleagues that have done imaging, and a lot of you guys have been phenomenal at what you're doing with imaging, WinPE, and add-on products. The other thing is since ZSD is in beta, we'll probably be doing a what's new for ZSD coming on the 20th. Okay, I'll get a PM on and we'll discuss that. And then I know right now, Valerie mentions in terms of reporting, we have run reports on a department's workstation to collect products where product manufacturer does not contain an item in the list, and use that to exclude the main apps we know about. Oh, clever. Yeah. All right. And focus on the ones we don't know about and look at the count of those apps to see how many are out there. Clever. Okay, yeah, that's a great way to leverage. Great way to leverage the product. So thank you, Valerie, for that. Hope others can use that in the same way if they're having that interest. Okay, so the 6 imaging, probably what's new on the 20th, and then May ZCM update 2 is coming up, so maybe a what's new there. All right, and I'll try and get a ZCM mobile management. I'll have an extended June and July coming up. In the next ZENcast, I'll have that ZENcast schedule start to be mapped out. So if you have any questions about what's next or ideas to present, please go to that survey. I appreciate those that have already put things on there so that I've been able to keep this updated. So, and that ZENcast survey is in this webinar or PPTX link. Otherwise, I didn't see any other questions. Valerie, Bruce, Jeff, Martin, everybody that's out there, thank you so much for being here and spending a little bit of your time today with me. I appreciate you joining. I just stay safe and keep smiling. All right. I'll be on chat for a little bit longer, so feel free to continue to chat if you need to. But thank you, everybody. It's been a great day.